Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So my instructions were to read the introduction to chapter 4 of the Adi Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, then read texts 1 through 23, and then chant together text 23, and if there's time, make any additional remarks I care to give. So, Adi Leela, chapter 4. In this chapter of the epic Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has stressed that Lord Chaitanya appeared for three principal purposes of his own. The first purpose was to relish the position of Srimati Radharani, who is the prime reciprocator of transcendental love of Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of transcendental loving transactions with Srimati Radharani. The subject of those loving transactions is the Lord himself, and Radharani is the object. Thus, the subject, the Lord, wanted to relish the loving mellow in the position of the object, Radharani. The second reason for his appearance was to understand the transcendental mellow of himself. Lord Krishna is all sweetness. Radharani's attraction for Krishna is sublime, and to experience that attraction and understand the transcendental sweetness of himself, he accepted the mentality of Radharani. The third reason that Lord Chaitanya appeared was to enjoy the bliss tasted by Radharani. The Lord thought that undoubtedly Radharani enjoyed his company, and he enjoyed the company of Radharani, but the exchange of transcendental mellow between the spiritual couple was more pleasing to Srimati Radharani than to Sri Krishna. Radharani felt more transcendental pleasure in the company of Krishna than he could understand without taking her position. But for Sri Krishna to enjoy in the position of Srimati Radharani was impossible because that position was completely foreign to him. Krishna is the transcendental male, and Radharani is the transcendental female. Therefore, to know the transcendental pleasure of loving Krishna, Lord Krishna himself appeared as Lord Chaitanya, accepting the emotions and bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. Lord Chaitanya appeared to fulfill these confidential desires and also to preach the significance of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and to answer the call of Advaita Prabhu. These were secondary reasons. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami was the principal figure among Lord Chaitanya's confidential devotees. The records of his diary have revealed these confidential pastimes of the Lord. These revelations have been confirmed by the statements of Sri Rupa Goswami in his various prayers and poems. This chapter also specifically describes the difference between lust and love, transactions of Krishna and Radha are completely different from material lust. Therefore, the author has very clearly distinguished between them. So, this information is necessary to understand the confidential meaning of the Ratha Yatra, to understand what Lord Chaitanya's dancing at Ratha Yatra indicated. He was taking the position of Radharani and leading Krishna from his opulent position on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or in Dwarka to the place of Vrindavan where they engaged in their spontaneous loving affairs. So, text 1. Sri Chaitanya Prasadena Tat Rupasya Vinirnayam Balopi Kurute Shastram Drisva Vraja Vilasinaha. Translation: by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Lord Krishna, the enjoyer of pastimes in Vraj, according to the vision of the revealed scriptures. Purport: one can ascertain the meaning of this Sanskrit shloka only when one is endowed with the causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Sri Krishna, being the absolute personality of Godhead, cannot be exposed to the mundane instruments of vision. He reserves the right not to be exposed by the intellectual feats of non-devotees. Notwithstanding this truth, even a small child can easily understand Lord Sri Krishna and his transcendental pastimes in the land of Vrindavan by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 2. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Translation: all glory to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glory to Lord Nityananda, all glory to Advaita Charya, and all glory to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Text 3. Chaturtashlokera arta koila vivarana, panchamashlokera arta shuna bhakta gana. Translation: I have described the meaning of the fourth verse. Now, O devotees, kindly hear the explanation of the fifth verse. Text 4. Mula shlokera arta karita prakasha, arta lagaite agi karya abasa. Translation: just to explain the original verse, I shall first suggest its meaning. Text 5. Chaturta Slokera Arta Ekoi Lasara Premanama Pracharite E Avatara. Translation: I have given the essential meaning of the fourth verse. This incarnation descends to propagate the chanting of the holy name and spread love of God. Text 6. Satya e hetu kintu ehu bahiranga ara eka hetu shuna ache antaranga. Translation: although this is true, this is but the external reason for the Lord's incarnation. Please hear one other reason, the confidential reason for the Lord's appearance. Purport. In the 3rd chapter, 4th verse, it has been clearly said that Lord Chaitanya appeared to distribute love of Krishna and the chanting of the transcendental holy name, Hare Krishna. That was the secondary purpose of Lord Chaitanya's appearance. The real reason is different, as we shall see in this chapter. Text 7. Purvayena Prita Vira Barahadi Bade Krishna Avatirna Hoila Shastrita Pachade. Translation. The scriptures proclaim that Lord Krishna previously descended to take away the burden of the earth. Text 8. Swayam Bhagavanera Karma Nahe Bada Harupa Stiti Karta Vishnu Karena Jagat Palana. Translation. To take away this burden, however, is not the work of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The maintainer, Lord Vishnu, is the one who protects the universe. Text 9. Kentu Krishnera Yehoya Avatara Kala Badaharana Kala Tate Hoila Mishala. Translation. But the time to lift the burden of the world mixed with the time for Lord Krishna's incarnation. Purport. We have information from Bhagavad Gita that the Lord appears at particular intervals to adjust a time-worn spiritual culture. Lord Sri Krishna appeared at the end of Dwapara Yuga to regenerate the spiritual culture of human society and also to manifest his transcendental pastimes. Vishnu is the authorized Lord who maintains the created cosmos, and he is also the principal deity who makes adjustments for improper administration in the cosmic creation. Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and he appears not to make such administrative adjustments, but only to exhibit his transcendental pastimes, and thus attract the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead. However, the time for administrative rectification and the time for Lord Sri Krishna's appearance coincided at the end of the last Dwapara Yuga. Therefore, when Sri Krishna appeared, Vishnu, the Lord of Maintenance, also merged in him, because all the plenary portions and parts of the absolute personality of Godhead merged in him during this appearance, during his appearance. Text 10. Purna Bhagavan Avatari Ye Kale Arasaba Avatar Tante Ase Mile. Translation. When the complete Supreme Personality of Godhead descends, all other incarnations of the Lord meet together within him. Text 11 and 12. Narayana Chaturvyuha Myasadi Avatare Yuga Manvantara Avatara Yata Ache Are Sabeyase Krishnange Haya Avatirna Aiche Avatare Krishna Bhagavan Purna. Translation. Lord Narayan, the four primary expansions, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, Matsya, and other Leela incarnations, the Yuga avatars, and the Manvantar incarnations, and many other incarnations, and as many other incarnations as there are, all descend in the body of Lord Krishna. In this way, the complete Supreme Godhead, Lord Krishna himself, appears. Text 13. Ateva Vishnu Takana Krishnara Sharire Vishnu Dwari Kare Krishna Asura Samhare. Translation. At that time, therefore, Lord Vishnu is present in the body of Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna kills the demons through him. Text 14. Anusanga karma e asura marana ye lagi avatara kahe se mula karana. Translation. Thus the killing of the demons is but secondary work. I shall now speak of the real reason for the Lord's incarnation. Text 15 to 16. Prema rasa niryasa karite aswadana raga marga bhakti loki karite pracharana rasika shekara Krishna parama karuna edvi hetu hoite ichara udgama. Translation. The Lord's desire to appear was born from two reasons. He wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of love of God, and he wanted to propagate devotional service in the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. Thus he is known as supremely jubilant and as the most merciful of all. Purport. During the period of Lord Krishna's appearance, the killing of asuras or non-believers, such as Kamsa and Jarasandha, was done by Vishnu, who was within the person of Sri Krishna. Such apparent killing by Lord Sri Krishna was a matter of course as an incidental activity. But the real purpose of Lord Krishna's appearance was to stage dramatic performance of his transcendental pastimes at Vrajabhumi, thus exhibiting the highest limit of transcendental mellow in the exchanges of reciprocal love between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. These reciprocal exchanges of mellow are called raga bhakti, or devotional service to the Lord in transcendental rapture. Lord Sri Krishna wants to make known to all the conditioned souls that he is more attracted by raga bhakti than vidhi bhakti, or devotional service under scheduled regulations. It is said in the Vedas, Raso Vai Sa, the absolute truth, is the reservoir for all kinds of reciprocal exchanges of loving sentiments. He is also costlessly merciful, and he wants to bestow upon us the privilege of raga bhakti. Thus, he appeared as his own internal energy. He was not forced to appear by any extraneous force. Text 17. Aishvarya Gyanete Sabha Jagat Mashrita Aishvarya Shitila Premi Nahi Mora Prita. Translation. Now Krishna is speaking. All the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty, but love weakened by that sense of majesty does not satisfy me. Text 18. Amare Ishvaramane Apanakehina Tara Prema Vasha Aminahai Adina. Translation: If one regards me as the Supreme Lord and himself as a subordinate, I do not become subservient to his love, nor can it control me. Text 19. Amaketaye ye bhakta bhaji ye bhave, tare se bhave bhaji e mora swabhave. Translation: In whatever transcendental mellow my devotee worships me, I reciprocate him. That is my natural behavior. Purport: The Lord, by his inherent nature, reveals himself before his devotees according to their inherent devotional service. The Vrindavan pastimes demonstrated that although generally people worship God with reverence, the Lord is more pleased when a devotee thinks of him as his pet son, personal friend, or most dear fiancé, and renders service unto him with such natural affection. The Lord becomes a subordinate object of love in such transcendental relationships. Such pure love of Godhead is unadulterated by any tinge of superfluous, non-devotional desires, and is not mixed with any sort of fruitive action or empiric philosophical speculations. It is pure and natural love of Godhead, spontaneously aroused in the absolute stage. This devotional service is executed in a favorable atmosphere, free from material affection. Text 20. Ye yatamam prabhadyante tam stadaiva bhajamyaham manavartante manushyaparta sarvashaha. Translation: In whatever way my devotees surrender unto me, I reward him accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Purport: In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna affirms that formerly, some 20 million years before the Battle of Kurukshetra, he explained the mystic philosophy of the Gita to the sun god. The message was received through the chain of disciplic succession, but in the course of time, the chain being broken somehow or other, Lord Sri Krishna appeared again and taught Arjuna the truth of Bhagavad Gita. At that time, the Lord spoke this verse, Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text 11, to his friend Arjuna. Text 21 to 22. Mora putra, mora saka, mora pranapati, e bhavaye more kare shuddha bhakte, apanakte bade mane, amare samahina, se bhavahai mami tahara adina. Translation: If one cherishes pure loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, his friend, or his beloved, regarding himself as great, and considering me his equal or inferior, I become subordinate to him. Purport: Sri Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita, 3 kinds of devotional service are described, namely bhakti, ordinary devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service, and Vidha Bhakti, mixed devotional service. When devotional service is executed with some material purpose involving fruitive activities, mental speculations, or mystic yoga, it is called mixed or adulterated devotional service. Besides Bhakti Yoga, Bhagavad Gita also describes Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. Yoga means linking with the Supreme Lord, which is possible only through devotion. Fruitive activities in devotional service, philosophical speculation ending in devotional service, and the practice of mysticism ending in devotional service are known respectively as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. Such devotional service is adulterated by three kinds of material activities. For those grossly identifying with the body as the self, pious activity or karma yoga is recommended. For those who identify the mind with the self, philosophical speculation or jnana yoga is recommended. But devotees standing on the spiritual platform have no need of such material conception of adulterated devotion. Adulterated devotional service does not directly aim for love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, service performed strictly in conformity with the revealed scriptures is better than such vidhi bhakti because it is free from all kinds of material contamination. It is executed in Krishna consciousness solely to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are spontaneously devoted to the Lord and have no aims for material gain are called attracted devotees. They are spontaneously attracted to the service of the Lord, and they follow in the footsteps of self-realized souls. Their pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, manifested from pure love of Godhead, surpasses the regulative principles of the authoritative scriptures. Sometimes loving ecstasy transcends regulative principles. Sometimes loving ecstasy transcends regulative principles. Such ecstasy, however, is completely on the spiritual platform and cannot be imitated. The regulative principles help ordinary devotees rise to the stage of perfect love of Godhead. Pure love for Krishna is the perfection of pure devotion, and pure devotional service is identical with spontaneous devotional service. Flawless execution of regulative principles is exhibited in the Vaikuntha planets. By strictly executing these principles, one can be elevated to the Vaikuntha planets, but spontaneous, pure loving service is found in Krishna Loka alone. So we'll chant together text 23. I can repeat. Mai bhaktir hi bhutanam amritadvaya kalpate dishyayada sinmat sneho bhavatina marapanaha Mayi Bhakti Bhutanam Amritatvaya Kalpate Dishtayadasinmat Sneho Bhavatina Marapanaha Mayi Bhakti Hi Bhutanam Amritatvaya Kalpate Dishtayadasinmat Sneho Bhavatina Marapanaha. Vaishnavis. Mayi, to me, Bhakti, devotional service. He, certainly, Bhutana, of the living beings. Amritatvaya, the eternal life. Kalpate, brings about. Dishtya, by good fortune. Yet, which, asit, was, mat, for me, sneha, the affection, bhavatina, of all of you, mat, of me, apanaha, the obtaining. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Devotional service, translation, devotional service rendered to me by the living beings revives their eternal life. O my dear damsels of Vraja, your affection for me is your good fortune, for it is the only means by which you have attained my favor. Purport. Pure devotional service is represented by the activities of the residents of Vrajabhumi, Vrindavan. During a solar eclipse, the Lord came from Dwarka and met the inhabitants of Vrindavan at Samantaka Panchaka. The meeting was intensely painful for the damsels of Vrajabhumi because Lord Krishna apparently left them to reside at Dwarka, but the Lord obligingly acknowledged their pure devotional service. But the Lord obligingly acknowledged the pure devotional service of the damsels of Vraja by speaking this verse, Bhagavatam 10, 82:45. Om Jnana Timrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So Krishna says, Ye yatam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. In other words, he reciprocates with the mood of the devotees. And every soul is by nature a servant of Krishna. Jivaro Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Now some souls desire to relate to the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, recognizing his opulence and majesty. And there is a place for Is that better? Okay, thank you. And there's a place for such devotees. It's the Vaikuntha planets, and there are many Vaikuntha planets where the Lord is worshipped in great awe and reverence. But there is another place, the most confidential place, Goloka Vrindavan, where the Lord is reciprocating with devotees who approach him in another mood, the mood of spontaneous loving attraction. So it was that devotional service and the mood of spontaneous loving attraction that Lord Chaitanya came to this world to deliver. By his causeless mercy, he's giving the opportunity for even the fallen souls of the Kali Yuga to get a taste for this spontaneous, loving, devotional service to the Lord, and to give them the practices by which they might attain to that position. And part of his manifestation of the opportunity to engage in that kind of devotional service was illustrated in his pastimes in Jagannath Puri, particularly the Ratha Yatra pastimes, which enact events which are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that during an eclipse, the residents of Vrindavan came to bathe in the Samantaka Panchaka. I've been to that place, and many of you probably have also been there, but there Krishna came from Dwarka, where he was worshipped in another way by the devotees there, but the Ratha Yatra on a confidential level represents the feelings of the residents of Vrindavan when they saw Krishna coming from Dwarka to this place, dressed as a royal prince with all his retainers and servants, devotees who were serving him in this other mood, and they desired to take him back to Vrindavan where they could reciprocate with him in another way. So, as described in other parts of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which include the dancing of Lord Chaitanya before the Ratha Yatra cart, in the procession going from the main temple at Jagannath Puri to the destination temple, which represented Vrindavan in that mood of devotional service. So we have an opportunity now and coming up in the near future to enter into that mood. That's why we're having these readings, to appreciate the position of Lord Chaitanya, what he's offering us, and how it's related to Rath Yatra as originally practiced in Jagannath Puri, and as Srila Prabhupada introduced it here in the West, giving us the opportunity to participate in these kinds of activities that can awaken pure love of God. So, especially Srila Prabhupada was pleased with the Rath Yatra in Los Angeles. He originally started it in San Francisco, but devotees also began it here in Los Angeles in 1977, and I was here at that time, participated in the original LA Rath Yatra, and it was really a special event. I think, what is this, the 47th year? 48th year. I think I attended most of them. I was in LA since 1976. 1986, for a few years, I was in San Diego, but we would always come from San Diego to the Rath Yatra. Then for maybe 2 years, I was in Alachua, and I didn't get to come. And maybe for a couple of years, when I was back in LA in 1995, from then up to now, I've attended most of them, maybe a couple, one or two, I was out of town for some preaching engagement. But it's the opportunity to develop that mode of service is very much present in this time and that time in 1977. I recall staying up to midnight and beyond, for the days leading up to the Rath Yatra. I was engaged by the authorities at that time in making exhibits, the exhibit panels for Origins magazine, Coming Back, the Higher Taste vegetarian exhibit. We conceived, designed, and I think devotees here helped manufacture and make the printing and illustrations for all those panels, and everything was done on very tight deadlines. So it's, of course, now it's going on. It's been going on for a long time, and hopefully will continue as the world becomes more and more Krishna conscious by the powerful influence of Lord Jagannath, Balaram, Subhadra. So we'll stop there. Hare Krishna. Jai Jagannath.